Alright guys, so I'm on the road headed towards my friend's house where I'm storing the Mustang I just got. I'm storing it at his house because he lives on a paved road where they don't use much salt, and it has a heated garage. And where I live, it's a dirt road and they use a ton of salt. Everything rusts like crazy and gets really dirty, and my garage is wide open to the elements. So the Mustang is in such nice shape that I just want to keep it nice and dry and keep it from rusting, so it's just nice. Got it for a great deal. It needs a little bit of work, which is why I got it for a great deal, but overall it's a very nice car. I'll catch up with you guys when I get to his house in a couple of minutes, so see you then. So here's where it's stored. You can see that it's nice and dry in there. Okay, so I'm gonna see if it starts up. It's got a bad distributor cap, so when it's cold it takes a while to start. So let's see how it does. Started right up. There she goes. Alright, so here it is. My first ever Ford. Look at how clean it is. This Fox body is clean. One of the cleanest I've seen in Vermont. And the frame is clean as well. That was the main reason why I got it. It's got the 2.3 liter 4-cylinder, so not the V8, but that means it wasn't thrashed upon as much as the V8 model would have been. So one thing I find interesting is comparing this to the Camaro I have. So I also have a 1993 Chevy Camaro Z28. This is more pleasant to drive than the Camaro, but less pleasant to look at. Ford's styling was not as nice as Chevy's at that time. Also, their interior quality is a little worse than Chevy's, I think, because this thing rattles like crazy when you drive it. I really like these seats. They're very plush, very comfortable, and the back seats are much nicer to sit in than the Chevys. Also, this is a convertible, as you guys can see. I still don't really like the styling, but it's grown on me since I've had it because it's got kind of a classic look. I think that this thing will become a future classic and the Chevy Camaro will not. That's just my opinion. But personally, I like the Camaro a little bit better, just as it is. The only thing I like better about this is that it's a manual and it's much more comfortable to ride in, even though it rattles quite a bit more. I think this is hilarious. Look how much extra room there is in there for the 5.0. And the 2.3 is just tiny. It's super duper quiet for a Mustang. I'm a Chevy guy, I'm not a Ford guy, but this thing seems pretty well put together, apart from the interior, which rattles like crazy. Oh man. But what do you expect from a convertible from the 80s, right? Cold mornings, it doesn't really start because of the distributor cap. It just will crank a bunch, and sometimes you gotta push start it. So I need either a new distributor or a new cap and rotor. I bought a new cap and rotor to put on it, but today is really warm. It's like 35 degrees and it started right up for me. Alright, so let's take a look at the interior in here. Everything's plastic there, no airbags or anything. It's got some nice carpeting, and the seats are very nice compared to the Camaros, which is much more sporty and bucket-like. We've got automatic windows, and all of them work except for... There, let's see, we even have a rear automatic window there. Look at that, that's nice. All of them work except for that one. Alright, so let's take her for a quick drive. I didn't bring my tripod today, so I'm sorry the camera will be shaky because I will be looking at the road, not at my phone. Forgot to mention, it's a 5-speed manual, and the radio isn't original. We got an aftermarket radio, which seems to work pretty well. Yep, alright, let's turn that off before I get copyrighted. Here we go. This is a high revving engine, just so you know. Alright, let me get her onto a backcountry road, and then I'll talk a little more about this thing. if you can hear, the engine is barely audible. I'll let you just listen for a sec. Fun to whip this car around on the back roads. Not going too fast, just going 30 miles an hour, and it still feels pretty fun. It's definitely a fun little car. Alright, now that we're a little more rural and not many cars are going to come by, let me tell you a little bit about the things I like and I don't like about this car. I really like the overall driving experience. I like the steering wheel, it's perfect tightness. I like the clutch, although it's a little heavier than what I'm used to. It's still fairly light. It's about the same weight as my Chevy S10 actually. And I like the seats a lot. They are super comfortable, way more comfortable than the Camaro, than my truck. They're just really plush and nice to be in. Just look at those things. Second thing I like is the styling. I know it looks old. I think it looks older than it is. Then because Ford was a little behind on their styling, but I think it looks like a future classic. So I think in a couple years, this guy's value will start going up and we'll have a classic on our hands, especially because this one's in such nice shape. Third thing I like is how quiet it is at these speeds. When you get up to highway speeds, the wind noise is pretty loud and it gets kind of unbearable. But at these speeds, the engine is very quiet, the exhaust is super duper quiet, and the wind noise is pretty nice as well. Last thing I like is that, whoa, there's a deer. Get out of the road, deer. Anyway, the last thing I like is the automatic windows and automatic sunroof still work. After 30 plus years, or 30 years, they still work. And I can't say the same thing about the Camaro. Those automatic windows broke a long time ago. But those are the things I like. Let's get into the things I don't like. I don't like the fact that it's really, really, really underpowered. For example, if you're idling and you turn on the heat, you stall because it's that underpowered. You're just idling and you turn the heat on to full blast and the engine kind of stutters and dies. Also, I was getting onto an on-ramp for an interstate, and I was next to a Chevy Equinox, like a 2013 Chevy Equinox, and I tried to get in front of them and I couldn't. I was pretty much flooring it and she was just kind of cruising, just like a regular mom in her Chevy Equinox, just cruising, and she beat me by quite a bit, so that was annoying. Oh, we're onto a dirt road. I do not want to go onto dirt roads with this, so let's spin her around. Let's see. No dirt roads for the old Mustang. All right, what was I saying? Was I saying the heat? I think I was talking about the heat. The heater is very weak, and you can't really get it above, when it's below 30 degrees, I'd say you probably can't get it above 50 degrees in the cabin. And the last thing I have complaints about is the interior quality, which just rattles like crazy, and everything's hard plastic. I feel like if I punch it in the cold, it's just gonna shatter. You hear that rattling? It's probably because the engine likes to be higher revving, so yeah. If I were going to compare it to the Camaro, I'd say the Camaro's a little bit better, better put together. But if I were going to choose one of the two to be my daily driver, it would be this car because of the comfort, gas mileage, and it's a manual transmission, which is a lot more fun to drive. I just wanted to see how this guy started when it's already warm. So let's turn off the lights, because sometimes when the lights are on and the heat is on, it's so underpowered that it won't start. Also with the distributor cap, but I had that issue once I had the heat on, like the fan, when I was cranking it over, and it wouldn't start, and it wasn't a battery issue or nothing. But anyway, let's just see how it does. fires right up. Alright, so there it is. Got dark pretty fast around here. But does a couple of funny rattles and it needs a little bit of work. Other than that, she's pretty much good to go. And nice little car to whip around. So, thanks for watching. See you next week.